India and Bangladesh are examples of so-called far-shore destinations. But there are also many near-shore countries, and I would like to talk about a rather unknown near-shore destination, Palestine. It is near-shore because it is not far away from the Netherlands, only a few hours by plane. The cultural differences between Palestine and Western Europe are very limited. This is partly because the Palestinian software engineers have often studied in the US or in Europe, and Palestinian companies are already working for some very large American companies, such as HP and Cisco. Of course, there are many other nearshore destinations being used by Western clients, but there is a unique advantage related to Palestine, and that's the Arabic language, in combination with the personal linkages there are with other countries in the Middle East and in the Gulf region. Palestine could especially be used as a gateway to the Gulf region, and this is important because there are many export opportunities in the Gulf for European software companies. For example, there are a lot of software producing firms in the Netherlands, also known as ISVs, independent software vendors. Unfortunately, these software product companies, they do not export a lot. The numbers indicate that more than 90% of the revenues of Dutch software companies is from the Dutch market. Only about 7% is because of export. So the Dutch software sector is not exporting a lot, and that's a pity. In the Gulf region, there are a lot of business opportunities in the field of IT and software. For example, in countries such as Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Kuwait and Oman. And since there is a lot of IT investment in the region, there are interesting business opportunities for Dutch and European software companies. However, if you want to do business in the Gulf, you need local contacts. And you also have to localize your software products. You have to adapt the software in the Arabic language, and you must cater for the specific requirements of the Arab markets. And this is something the Palestinian IT companies can do. So, working with Palestine does not only give you the traditional advantages of offshore sourcing, such as cost reduction or access to IT skills, it also is about using offshore sourcing because of getting access to new export markets. And this could even be a strategic advantage for some companies. Actually, when we are talking about Palestine, there is even another reason to consider, and that is related to CSR, corporate social responsibility. Because of the political situation of Palestine, namely the occupation by Israel and the closure of its borders, it is very difficult for Palestinian companies to export physical products. However, outsourcing digital work to Palestine, which can be done online, is a viable option, and it also creates jobs. So offshore sourcing can trigger economic development. There's an example of a Dutch company that outsources data processing projects to Unit 1, an IT company in Gaza. And for already 5 years, around 75 women are conducting this work. In Gaza, there's a lot of unemployment, so this type of outsourcing is very useful and can be related to corporate social responsibility. I would also like to say a few words about another unknown outsourcing destination, North Korea. North Korea used to be quite isolated, but it's now opening up and it is searching actively for collaboration with foreign companies. They are trying to get IT projects by asking very low rates. They are currently the cheapest destination in Asia. They do have a lot of IT staff available, and because the level of IT education is quite high in North Korea, they can also work on a high quality level. And there are a number of interesting software companies. For example, companies specialized in face and voice recognition. They also have a lot of experience in making computer games. And their version of Go, which is Chinese chess, has even won prizes in the international computer competition. And what also can be done in North Korea is making animations and cartoons. This is very labor intensive, so it makes sense to do this in a very cheap location, such as North Korea. And even some well-known productions made by Walt Disney were actually being done in North Korea. And you can see some examples of North Korean animation studios also on YouTube. So, in conclusion, India was the pioneer in offshore sourcing, and it is still the most important offshore destination. But we have now a growing number of other destinations as well, both farshore and nearshore. And each country has its own advantages and also disadvantages. This means that country selection is one of the major activities that must be done if a company wants to start with offshore sourcing. And since even unknown countries can be attractive for the user, the issue of country selection can be complicated, and it can also take a lot of time. So, in case of any question, just send me an email. My address is paul@gpic.nl. Thank you for your time.